Here are the top stories of the news. Security operatives rescue 4 persons abducted during an attack in Kogi State. Osun Amotekun deploys operatives to strategic locations following court-related attacks. On the foreign scene, United States launches waves of strikes against Iran the 6th consecutive night. Good afternoon and welcome to Spring News at 12 on Western Spring Television. My name is Okpayemuni. The Kogi State government has confirmed that security operatives have rescued 4 persons abducted during an attack in a school. 4 students, their principal, and an ad hoc staff member of the National Examination Council were abducted on Tuesday when the school in Odo Ekina local government area of the state came under attack. But in a statement on Thursday, the Kogi State Commissioner for Information and Communications, Kingsley Fanwo, said that the victims have regained their freedom, describing the rescue as the outcome of a coordinated security operation ordered by Governor Usman Ododo immediately after the incident. Fanwo also expressed the appreciation of the Kogi State government to President Bola Tinubu for his support for the state's security efforts. Here in Osun State, the All Progressives Congress Governorship Campaign Council has called on the Department of State Services, DSS, the Nigeria Police Force, and other security agencies to investigate the killing of 2 of its supporters and bring those responsible to justice. The APC campaign on Thursday alleged that the attacks were carried out by thugs backed by the Ademola Adeleke-led state government. The council made the allegations in a statement issued on Thursday by its head of media and publicity, Oluremi Omowaye, following what it described as Wednesday night's violent attacks on APC members and supporters of the party's governorship candidate, Bolaji Oyebamiji, in Osogbo. According to the statement, officials of the campaign council visited hospitals and morgues where victims of the attacks were receiving treatment or had been deposited, claiming that 2 party members were killed while at least 10 others sustained varying degrees of injuries. The campaign also alleged that a female party member was shot in the buttocks while attending an Ambo political meeting in the Bono area of Osogbo and was currently receiving medical treatment.
Possible.
Some of them, they have just been released from jail for this purpose, only for this purpose. But if not, how will you release someone from jail, somebody that was accused of murder and confirmed, a court is accused of murder, and when election is now 30-40 days, a government will not allow them to be released?
We saw the X-ray now. We saw one of them that they shot on his leg. The bone got broken. That is what AK-47 does. We call on security operative. One thing we want the whole world to know is, look at the gentleman that decamped. Because he decamped, you want to kill him.
Part of a PDP accord before, but I was decamped day before yesterday. But when I left there, maybe 30, 40.
The Osun State Security Network Agency and Amotekun Corps has deployed tactical operatives to strategic locations in Osogbo following recent court-related attacks by heightened tension in parts of the state capital, assuring residents that every necessary measure is being taken to restore peace and guarantee public safety. The Corps Commander, Adekunle Omoyele, made the disclosure while addressing journalists in Osogbo on Thursday, stating that security personnel had been mobilized to affected communities and other vulnerable areas to prevent further violence. According to him, the attacks recorded on Tuesday night in the Egbatedo area and in the early hours of Wednesday at Idisheke were unfortunate and unacceptable, describing them as criminal acts capable of undermining the peaceful atmosphere Osun State has enjoyed over the years. Omoyele condemned the activities of court groups and other criminal elements allegedly behind the attacks, warning that the state would not become a sanctuary for hoodlums seeking to disrupt public peace. The Corps commander disclosed that tactical teams have been strategically deployed across the affected areas and other flashpoints to maintain law and order, strengthen surveillance, and prevent any recurrence of violence. While political parties contesting the August 15, 2026 governorship election in Osun State on Thursday signed a peace and accountability charter pledging to conduct issue-based campaigns and shun violence before, during, and after the poll. The charter was signed at the Osun 2026 Democratic Governance, Peace and Electoral Integrity Summit organized by the Osun Development Association at the Aurora Event Center, Osogbo. Governor Ademola Adeleke, who was represented at the event by his deputy, Prince Kola Adeusi, reaffirmed his administration's commitment to constitutional democracy, the rule of law, and peaceful political engagement, saying no political ambition is worth the life of any citizen. The governor urged political parties, candidates, and their supporters to reject violence, intimidation, and other forms of electoral misconduct, stressing that elections should be won through persuasion rather than coercion. He also charged security agencies to remain professional and impartial while urging the Independent National Electoral Commission to ensure that every legitimate vote counts through a transparent and credible electoral process. So, judicial matters, the Court of Appeal sitting in Abuja has validated the guidelines of Independent National Electoral Commission on the conduct of the 2027 general elections. In a unanimous judgment, the Appellate Court voided and set aside the May 20 judgment of the Federal High Court in Abuja, which nullified the guidelines and barred their implementation. In the lead judgment, prepared by Justice Adebukola Banjoko, but read by Justice Okun Abang, the Court of Appeal held that the Youth Party, which instituted the case against the electoral body, lacked the local standard to do what it did. Justice Banjoko said the party did not explain how the guidelines affected it and its members in the conduct of its primary elections for the nomination of candidates for the 2027 polls. The court also held that the party failed to establish how the guidelines affected the submission of its nominated candidates to INEC. The Federal High Court sitting in Abuja had invalidated the timeline issued by INEC for the conduct of primaries and the nomination of candidates ahead of the 2027 general election. A chief of staff to the president, Femi Gbajabiamila, has filed a 5 billion naira defamation suit against Adeni Adeyemi at the High Court of the Federal Capital Territory, Abuja, of allegations that he demanded a 48% kickback from a 27.3 billion naira takeoff grant approved for a federal agency. In the suit, Gbajabiamila is seeking 10 billion naira in general damages, 5 billion naira in aggravated damages, 200 million naira as a cost of the action, and an order directing the defendant to publish a retraction and apology in 5 national newspapers and on all social media platforms. In court documents, the chief of staff denied ever meeting or communicating with Adeyemi or authorizing anyone to demand or receive money on his behalf. The claimant, through his legal team, led by Kemi Pinheiro, described the allegations as false, malicious, and defamatory. In the meantime, the FCT High Court directed Adeyemi to enter an appearance within 14 days of being served with the originating processes. The Federal Capital Territory High Court sitting in Abuja has ordered the final forfeiture of assets worth about 8.9 billion naira linked to businesswoman Aisha Achimugu to the federal government. The forfeited assets include jewelry valued at 4.65 billion naira, 11 exotic vehicles worth 4.29 billion naira, $50,000, and 30 million naira in cash. Justice Jude Onwubuzie made the order while delivering judgment on an application filed by the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission seeking the final forfeiture of the assets. The EFCC had urged the court to permanently forfeit the properties to the federal government, arguing that they were linked to unlawful activities. The court granted the commission's application and ordered that the jewelry, vehicles, and cash be finally forfeited to the federal government. Moving on, the Minister of Works, Dave Umahi, has dismissed any foul play in the death of nurse Mary Habila, warning against the politicization of the matter. Umahi, who spoke in a press conference in Abuja on Thursday, said both of them had worked together for 3 years, while claiming he suspected no foul play in the incident. Umahi said the late nurse was like a daughter, insisting that any attempt to link him to her death was politics taken too far. She disclosed that she had been receiving medical treatment for an existing health condition at a Turkish hospital, adding that he personally paid her medical bills for her last treatment in April. Habila was part of a medical team accompanying Umahi to his hometown in Uburu or Aozara local government area, where she was allegedly found dead within his residential compound.
Spoke to her boyfriend at the hour of her death and complaining that she was bleeding from the nose, and the boyfriend said, no, you have to report. You say it has stopped. So the boyfriend said, listen, I will not continue this conversation since you are bleeding. It will increase the bleeding. And she told the boyfriend, don't cut the call. The boyfriend cut the call. And 3 minutes later, the boyfriend called again. She was not responding. And even in the morning, she told the boyfriend she was going to bath because she locked her door, you know. So even in the morning, when they broke the door and discovered her death, they tapped their medical records in Turkish hospital. The last one was on 5th of April, and it cost me 2.2 million. The records are there. I paid 2.2 million, you know. So that is it. So I don't want to go because it's like a daughter that I've directed my lawyers to get across to two, people on cyber bullying on this matter. So we'll
Elsewhere, the federal government has renamed the Lagos-Calabar Coastal Highway as the President Bola Ahmed Tinubu Coastal Highway. The Minister of Works, Dave Umahi, saying the decision was taken in recognition of the President's long-standing vision for the project. Umahi announced the development on Thursday during a media briefing in Abuja, where he also disclosed that President Bola Tinubu had approved a 400-kilometer extension of the fourth legacy highway and the reconstruction of sections of the Lagos-Ibadan Expressway. According to the minister, the decision to rename the coastal highway was taken by the Ministry of Works after consultations with the ministry's leadership. Umahi described the first section of a 750-kilometer highway stretching from Victoria Island to Lekki as a major infrastructure milestone. The Senate on Thursday passed the Federal Road Safety Corps Amendment Bill 2026, proposing a 50,000 naira fine for anyone convicted of hawking, trading, or preaching inside commercial vehicles. The bill, which seeks to strengthen road safety enforcement and curb practices considered capable of distracting drivers, now awaits presidential assent. If signed into law, the legislation will also impose a 50,000 naira fine, 6 months imprisonment, or both on motorists who refuse to cooperate with officials of the FRSC during roadside breath test conducted on reasonable suspicion. The amendment forms part of a broader review of the FRSC Act aimed at increasing compliance with traffic regulations, reducing road crashes, and enhancing safety on Nigerian roads through stiffer penalties for traffic offenses. Under the proposed law, anyone found hawking, trading, or preaching inside a commercial vehicle commits an offense, and upon conviction will be liable to a 50,000 naira fine. The bill also raises the penalty for driving under influence of alcohol or intoxicating drugs from 5,000 naira to 100,000 naira. You're watching Spring News at 12 on Western Spring Television. We'll be right back after this break.